a vote on promises of hiking spending and voting EU climate and migration policies. Bazbeez's return to power with the fringe allies will strengthen the populist and anti-immigration and national sovereignty camp within the European Union that could weaken the backing for Ukraine's defence against Russia's invasion. If appointed, an ANO-led cabinet will replace a centre-right government that focused on reducing budget deficits and backed Ukraine. The coalition's draft policy agenda does not specify to any specific spending target, unlike the outgoing government, which aimed to lift military spending gradually towards a new NATO target of 3.5% of GDP plus 1.5% spent on infrastructure improvements. Now, tensions flared in Belgrade as Serbian police arrested 37 people following clashes between supporters of the ruling Serbian Progressive Party and anti-government protesters outside Parliament. The violence erupted when police prevented Jurna Hurka, who lost her son in last year's Novi Sad train disaster, from beginning a hunger strike. Hurka has been demanding justice for the 16 victims, the release of detained students and snap elections. As her supporters gathered, the SNS party members reportedly threw rocks and fireworks while police stood by. Now, more than 150,000 people have been evacuated in the Philippines as Typhoon Kalmaegi approaches from the Pacific. Authorities have warned of torrential rains, powerful winds and storm surges that could reach up to 3 meters. The typhoon is now expected to make landfall late today or early tomorrow in the eastern Samar province. Now, according to meteorological reports, the storm is packing winds up to 140 kilometers per hour, with gusts reaching 170. The path is expected to move westwards across the central island provinces, including Cebu, which is still recovering from a recent earthquake that killed dozens and left thousands homeless. Meanwhile, officials say that evacuated residents living in temporary tents are now being moved to stronger shelters as a precaution. Additionally, in an island, authorities have also warned heavy rains could trigger volcanic mudflows on the Canalong volcano, which has been emitting ash and steam in recent months. Emergency teams remain on high alert as the country braces for impact. Now, the Maldives has become the first country to impose a generational smoking ban, which will make smoking, buying and selling tobacco illegal for anyone born after January the 1st, 2007. According to the Ministry of Health, this marks a historic milestone in the nation's efforts to protect public health and promote a tobacco-free generation. As per reports, as of 2021, more than a quarter of the Maldives' adult population used tobacco. Meanwhile, that rate was almost double for young teens aged 13 to 15. Though the Maldives is the first country to enact such a ban, similar proposals have been debated and nearly imposed in other parts of the world as well. Now, in the United States, more specifically in New York City, Democratic mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani rallied supporters outside City Hall on the eve of Election Day, chanting that our time is now, he said. Mamdani and his supporters marched across the Brooklyn Bridge carrying a banner with the same slogan before gathering on the steps of City Hall. Flanked by New York Attorney General Letitia James and City Controller Brad Lander, Mamdani says the city stands on the verge of ushering in a new day, promising leadership rooted in compassion and conviction. He criticized President Donald Trump's attacks on political opponents and condemned what he called an ongoing affordability crisis in New York City. Let's in fact listen in to what mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani had to say during the rally.
We We also had the power of labor alongside us. And some of the most powerful elected leaders across the city and across the state. Leaders in the council, leaders at the state legislators, leaders in our Attorney General Tish James. And these leaders, whether they represent the entirety of this city or the entirety of this state, are leaders who have shown us time and time again what it could look like to fight for the future that this city deserves. More than 735,000 New Yorkers have already voted, and countless more will decide tomorrow what kind of leadership they want to define the next 4 years. Every voter will consider something different, but ultimately the question before us is very simple. Morning versus night. Do we want it to be morning again in New York?